I thought about something yesterday and thought about it enough. It has something to do with ideal world we have in our heads and versus reality. So let me just define or elaborate on exactly what I mean. You see, we tend to have an ideal world in our head, especially this generation, because of course of what we grew up listening to, watching, and what we feed our heads with, and we tend to be very agreeable with that because it's like when you fed something, you grow up, you take it, you're so agreeable, you take it in, and most of them are very influencing, and it not necessarily means that everything is bad that we learn throughout our life, but there are some things that are deeply synced in our heads that is causing us to have this picture on how our life should be in a certain way. Who and that affects even on the people that we choose in our lives. Like I even thought about it so deeply because I know people and I happen to be even in such situations. And a good example is even I spoken in my previous video about success. I stress a lot on how you should believe in your own ways and your own steps about your success, not to compare or think about that it has to be a certain way on how other people are expecting it to be. So this really becomes an issue on everything: success, maybe even choosing a partner in life who you would want to end up being with or marrying, and how it goes as far as how you want them to look like or how you want them to behave like or in a certain way, even as far as thinking of how your kids should be, how they should look like, and this and that. So I'm sharing this to help a lot of people or even get to share how I get through this and how I get to understand a way to make it to attach myself to reality, because again it's the ideal world you have in your head versus reality. If you detach so much from reality, you will have a very challenging way on making choices and decisions, because again you'll think, like, let's say for instance you meet a good person in your life, and then they don't behave a certain way or they don't look a certain way on how your ideal world is expecting them to be like or look like, and then you lose that person no matter how valuable they are to you. So now it's like it costs you a lot because you lose a lot of valuable things in your life because of how much you are judgmental. You have become judgmental because of what you've been influenced with in your head. So this ideal world might even make us more than just being judgmental. We could be people who thinks things to the finest details on a certain way, in exact same way. But again, if you attach yourself to reality, it's all about it's like planting your flower, leaving it out to the sun and being patient with the process, trusting in the process, accepting it, embracing it, and wait. When it blooms, you smile and you're like, finally, because that is the way it goes. So that is how you should implement a way to live your life. Implement those steps, because again when you plant a flower, you water it, you keep it outside, you know it needs sunlight, and then you have patience and embrace the process and all of that, because in the end it will bloom and you'll be happy and very much satisfied. That brings peace into your heart, and if it does so, then that's how you should take your life. I think, if example, the way that these things will cost you is, for instance, you meet a good person, good heart, good soul. I mean, a person who would be good for you, good for your future children, your offspring, and bring peace to your heart and satisfy you in every kind of ways. But you lose that person because you have this ideal world in your head. You want them to look a certain way, behave a certain way, be this and that. And you lose that person. You end up being following or maybe stuck to this ideal world that will never get you to a satisfying end, because again it's an ideal world full of perfection and full of I don't know what to say, but again, if you are in reality, you'll flow with the river. You'll go with how life is supposed to be. You'll accept it, you'll embrace it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you are mostly attached to reality, at least you'll end up with a life that will have peace in your heart, satisfying, and it will at least avoid those frustration of keep going. Because again, if you think about a lot of people who live their life by this ideal world they have in their head, they get to do, and some of them even succeed to make it exactly how they picture it in their head. But most of those people don't end up being happy because they think like, what should I add more to make it? Being a perfectionist again is not something that could help in a lot of ways. So I think this is a very important issue to be discussed about, and that's the reason why I'm sharing it. But I would also talk about how to, if I get to learn more and get more wise thoughts about how to attach ourselves into reality so we can make better choices, pure choices in the most natural ways, because that's again, at least when you go so far with that, with reality, it serves you peace and happiness and satisfaction and your gratitude or your humility. And most of you being so pure is will change you as a person to be more grateful about how life is supposed to be. It's just about living the life as real as it is rather than living the unreal way. It brings less satisfaction most.